Hey everybody, this is me practicing. We're going to start in a few minutes. Get your questions ready. Why am I doing this? Happy Catholic Sisters Week. Bye. Maybe I'll just keep talking to myself then, if nobody has a question. Happy Tuesday. I think the Raptors are playing tonight. Maybe that's what you're all doing, watching basketball. Blessings. I'll just create my own conversation. The Congregation of Notre-Dame Sisters taught me, I was in two different high schools, in Kingston and in Ottawa. Their spirit, their vision, their commitment to education, those are the women I wanted to join. It took me a while to figure it out, but I'll let you ask that question. Peace. Thank you for that question. I'm not just talking to myself out here. I've been a sister of the Congregation of Notre Dame since 1987, when I made my first vows and got my silver cross. That's about 36 years this year. 3 years of formation before that, and a few years of wondering what would I be doing. It's been a long time. Thanks. Thanks, Isabel, for the TikTok follows. I didn't know what to do, to be honest. Do I post? Do I not post? Do the people want into my TikTok? Do they want into my life? But it is fun, and I must say I'm having fun. I'm hoping there's a message in my fun. It takes up a lot of time, though. Be careful. Family and friends. What a great question, Sister Sue. Why, thank you, Sister Sue. It was really interesting. I started thinking about this in university. I had a friend who was thinking about it. And my Catholic friends weren't quite so sure. My non-Catholic friends were like, oh, cool, try it out. Interesting concepts and notions that people had. My family were concerned, wanting to make sure I finished my education, but people have been very supportive all along. Not many people doing this. It takes great courage. Peace. This is me multitasking. Somebody just sent me this question by messenger. So I'm typing it in if it's for me. Esme, this one's for you. I wanted to be a gym teacher for a very long time. In fact, I thought I would be a PE teacher in Germany at an armed forces base in Lahr, Germany, thanks to my dad. That didn't work out, but I did become a PE teacher in Toronto, yay, St. Patrick's. And never thought of, this is the lifestyle choice, not a job. So I can do many things as a sister. I was a high school teacher and chaplain. I was our vocation director. I was a missionary in Cameroon and West Africa. And now I'm a campus minister. I got to do all those things as a Congregation of Notre Dame sister. Another question from, I think it's direct messenger from Instagram, this one. Why did I become a sister? Great question. It was never really my intention to become a Notre Dame sister. I wanted to be a gym teacher. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to make a difference in the lives of students, like the Congregation of Notre Dame Sisters did for me and my friends when we were in high school at Regiopolis Notre Dame in Kingston, Ontario. Shout out to RND. So it wasn't in my initial plan. It was really, my call began as curious. I started asking questions. I started hanging around with the sisters to find out what the lifestyle was like. And in God's great wisdom, God gently drew me to become a sister of the Congregation of Notre Dame. Praise God. Wow, this one really makes me think. How do I hope the sisterhood evolves? This one came from Messenger, from Ottawa friends. Religious life has always been about responding to the needs of the day. Whether that for our tradition as Congregation of Notre Dame Sisters, that was in education. I would think the needs of this day are about justice. They're about the environment. They're about relationships with those who are on the peripheries. It's about trying to be true to our call to respond to the needs of our world, of our church, of our universe. I hope religious life will be smaller. We can continue to respond to the cries from many portions, of many places in our world. Ouch, that's a hard one. My life is about ministry. My life is about the mission of not only my congregation and the church, but the world. And I find it's pretty much a 24/7, 365. So I really do rely on my friends, on my family, to remind me to slow down, to remind me to pause. The things I tell other people to do, I'm not so great at doing myself. I do like going to basketball games. Go Panthers. This weekend I'm going to hockey. Go Panthers. It is an opportunity to remind myself that God has gifted me in ways that I need to take care of so that I can continue to be active in the mission. Feel free to remind me every once in a while, folks. Thank you. Well, I'll go here for a second. I'm not sure if anybody would ask this. I do make 3 vows: poverty, chastity, and obedience. And sometimes people say, which one is the hardest? Some people would say poverty, no money; chastity, no sex; obedience, no self-determination. I find different ones. They're not the calls to the no, they're the calls to the yes. Poverty says ownership isn't everything for me. Chastity says love of God and neighbor is number 1. Obedience calls me to that corporate stance of together we stand as one, listening to the voice of God. Poverty, chastity, and obedience. Great values, great virtues. They're what I profess publicly, freely, and for the rest of my life. Great question. My favorite part about being a sister, about being a nun, is the diversity with which I get to live my life. I respond freely to the call of God. I have been a missionary in West Africa and Cameroon. I have been a teacher, a high school teacher in inner city Toronto. I was our vocation director, and now I get to be campus minister. The diversity with which I get to live my life, it's got to be the most. I never would imagine that I could be able to do all these things. And I get to do it as a sister in the spirit of my congregation, the congregation of Notre-Dame, in the footsteps of St. Marguerite Bourgeois, in the footsteps of the one who went before us, Jesus Christ. It's just the diversity, I think, is the gift for me. Thanks. I saw this question someplace, Kim. I don't know where you put it. Message, where, whatever. Anyway, what keeps religious life fresh and interesting for me? A little bit about what I answered the vision question about diversity, but also there's a very public dimension to our lives. And so a lot of people see and feel very free to comment sometimes about religious life these days. And I think it reminds me, why did I come? It reminds me, why do I stay? When people ask questions like tonight about the values of religious life, there's always a question. I'm a teacher at heart. I'm a lifelong learner at heart. What's the next question? And I do it in a spirit of faith. What's the unmet need? What's the invitation? All kinds of questions and great people to walk with as we try to answer. Where have I traveled? Good question. The founders of our congregation, St. Marguerite Bourgeois, chose as spiritual foundations for us the mystery of the visitation. Do you know when Mary finds out that she's pregnant and she gets up and goes to her cousin Elizabeth? That getting up and go has been a part of my religious life for sure. In my early years, I was invited to go to British Columbia as part of my novitiate experience, into Montreal from Ottawa. I then went to Toronto. I was able to be a teacher in Toronto for many years. As our vocation director, I was the talking, traveling, touring nun show back and forth across Canada and places in the United States. And after that, I wanted something different. So I was asked to go to Cameroon in West Africa for 2 years. I came back, I had some time for me, and now I'm a campus minister in Prince Edward Island. God's good. I taught high school religion and phys ed, and I coached a couple of sports for several years, and now I get to be a campus minister. And my first year here at the University of Prince Edward Island, somebody gave me a Mother's Day card in May. I'm almost like a spiritual mother to many people. I think I'm a pretty good aunt. You'll have to ask Elizabeth and Andrew, but at this stage in my life, I don't miss having children. I did a while ago when my friends were having children. I thought, ooh, I wonder what that's like. But every vocation, every lifestyle choice, there are graces and there are sacrifices. And I think that's the reality of responding to a call. That's the reality of invitation. So I said yes to a lifestyle which meant no to others, but I find God's grace here too. Blessings. Hey, Sarah. I am a Catholic kid, Catholic family, went to Catholic schools, but I never thought about being a sister until well into my university years. In fact, I had a friend, Angie. Hey, Angie, if you're out there. She wanted to be a sister, and I tagged along with her. But later in my university years, when a sister said, well, what about you, Sue? First I was like, oh, no, not me, her. And then all of a sudden, when it started to settle in my heart, I thought, wait a minute, why not me? I wanted to teach, they teach. my call really, it wasn't God tapping me on the shoulder. It was more curiosity, with me knocking on the door of the congregation of Notre-Dame sisters, saying one night, "Can we talk?" An opportunity to find out, curiosity, what's involved, and then call, and then response. And that call response continues today. Well, now there's a great question. Thank you, Liz. From start to finish, it's a few years of conversation with the sisters before you move in. It's 2 or 3 years before the novitiate, 3 or 6 years before final vows. All in all, it's about a 10-year process. And then when we make our final vows, where we say freely and for the rest of our lives, we will live according to the constitutions of the Congregation of Notre-Dame. Everybody's path is a little bit different, but for the most part, it's a good 8, 9, maybe even 10 years from start to finish. Some people think you just come in, bang, right, Libby? Others of us, it's a little more slowly. But it is an opportunity to pray. It's about what you want. It's about what the congregation wants. It's about what God's calling us all to. A mistake? No. I don't think I've ever felt in my time, so 38 years of vows plus 2 or 3 before, I've never felt that this was a mistake. There have certainly been challenges. There have been hard times. I said yes to Cameroon, and that Christmas realized how far Cameroon is from my family and from my friends, and how different my white-skinned face was from those lovely, beautiful Cameroonian children. I found that really hard. Mistake? No. Relying on my friends, relying on my congregation, relying on God, yes. But I've been never a mistake. God's been really good to me, and I'm very grateful for that. Can I simply say yes? There are dimensions to being part of an organization that's bigger than ourselves that can be life-giving, and other dimensions that can be very challenging. There are very tough days right now in the Roman Catholic Church for many of us, for many people of faith, women and men, ordained and not. So yeah, it's hard. But I do believe in that redemptive story. I do believe we're in Lent right now in the Christian tradition. I do believe in the passion, sometimes even the death, yes, and the resurrection. I'm here for the hope, folks. I must say, I'm not one to suffer, but I am one who lives in hope. So is it hard? Yes. Is it not enough to chase me away? But yes, it's hard. Clearly, I'm better at talking than I am at typing. We have a few minutes left, not a free minutes left. But I'd like to say thank you. It's gone quickly. It's been a good hour. Your questions have challenged me, but I'm grateful. And if this is something that you'd like to see us again, feel free to let me know in the comments. It's been an effort between me and our communications people. Thank you, Congregation of Notre-Dame people at the Mother House, Stephanie and Marie-Claire. Thank you to Sienna, my UPI student, who taught me how to do this. You might have seen my lesson on Twitter. Let's stay in touch. Let's find ways to communicate. Let's find ways to stay in touch. Peace, everybody. Thank you very much. God bless.